So just to remind anyone that's presenting this evening, we have a few of them. You have 15 minutes in total, so most people like to keep their presentations around 10 minutes and leave 5 minutes for questions from council. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Brett Harrington. I'm presenting today on behalf of Tillsonburg Football Club. I'm a men's director with the club. So quickly, we'll just do who we are, what we do at Tillsonburg Football Club, how we do it, what we're after, a few facts about the game of soccer and the town of Tillsonburg, what we propose, what we commit to, and then we'll conclude. Our vision at the Tillsonburg Football Club is to provide competitive soccer at a low cost for our families of Tillsonburg and municipalities that surround us. So briefly, who we are. We're multi-generational Tillsonburg residents who love to play the game of soccer at a competitive level. Tillsonburg Football Club is a not-for-profit organization with an elected board of directors, and we are incorporated in 2018. We are comprised of small business owners, students, community-minded volunteers, and people that are passionate for the game of soccer. Tillsonburg Football Club is a member and in good standing with the Ontario Soccer Association. What we do, Tillsonburg Football Club's programs provide a pathway for our youth to play regional, provincial, varsity, national, and semi-professional soccer for athletes in Tillsonburg and surrounding municipalities. Me personally, I've played varsity soccer starting here in the town of Tillsonburg. Tillsonburg Football Club provides opportunity to all genders. So how we do it? We ensure inclusion and diversity to all with a heightened focus to people that are new in the town of Tillsonburg as well as to Canada. Tillsonburg Football Club offers year-round competitive programming that supports or has a goal of having at least 25% of our teams achieve medals and or cup and or league titles annually. We currently are a renting party from Tillsonburg Minor Soccer Park and uphold all agreements set forth by Tillsonburg Minor Soccer. What we need or what we're after, why we're here today. We need to fulfill the shortage of youth soccer fields in the town of Tillsonburg. Again, I'll reiterate youth soccer fields in the town of Tillsonburg. In 2022, Tillsonburg Football Club had no suitable fields available for our U12 team at the Tillsonburg Minor Soccer Park. We have an immediate field shortage for our youth in 2023 for mini and intermediate sizes. One thing I will add for the council's knowledge is previously we had 2 sizes of fields that was adequate for soccer in Ontario. Those were mini and those were full-size fields. Ontario Soccer has added a 3rd. That is mini, intermediate, as well as full-size fields. At the Tillsonburg Minor Soccer Park, the need for intermediate fields is where we are looking to try to start with Govesi Park. We're looking for safe, well-maintained, regulated soccer fields for our youth to play on without hesitation. A few facts about the game and a few facts about the town of Tillsonburg. In 2001, our population was 14,000. Tillsonburg Soccer Park was established. In 2021, the population is about 18,600 people. There have been no new soccer fields in the town since 2001, and actually less regulated soccer fields than in 2001. Soccer Canada, or the men's team, is in the World Cup for the first time since 1986. We believe that's going to impact the number of youth wanting to play the game of soccer. Canada and the US will host the 2026 World Cup. We again believe this is going to impact the number of youth wanting to play the game of soccer. Soccer is one of the most cost-effective organized sports for the youth to play today. A quote from Canada Soccer. Soccer is the largest participatory sport in Canada. It is considered the fastest growing sport in the country. There are nearly 1 million registered Canada Soccer active participants in Canada within 1,200 clubs that operate in 13 provincial and territorial member associations. We as the soccer community need to keep up with the growth that the town of Tillsonburg is experiencing. What we propose. I won't spend a lot of time on this. This is a revitalization or reinvesting into the Govesi Park. As you can see, there's 2 intermediate fields, 2 mini fields, and 1 main field. This will house a lot of the competitive soccer that we as Tillsonburg Football Club do on a regular basis. This is again for the youth of Tillsonburg. This is not for our men's, this is not for our women's program. And one thing I'll talk about here is our phased approach with this. We don't expect it to happen overnight. We have a plan that we believe will allow us to get to our end goal, which you see here, as well as on this side. So phase 1, level the land, reseed and trim the trees. this is as soon as possible. As I've said, 2023, we have a need for soccer fields. We had a need last year and we had to play on unsatisfactory ground. Phase 2, install fencing, irrigation, expand parking lot, extend utilities. We hope to accomplish this by fall of 23 and spring of 2024. Phase 3 is build washrooms, office storage for 24 and 25. The proposal put forth today links directly to the town strategic plan, specifically the lifestyle and amenities section of the highlights that are listed below. Update municipal sports facilities consistent with modern standards, maintain and enhance programs and facilities to support an active, engaged youth population, expand community partnerships in the delivery of these programs and amenities. In conclusion, this proposal is for youth soccer in the town of Tillsonburg. The men and women's teams will continue to operate at the Tillsonburg Minor Soccer Park. This proposal provides safe, and I will reiterate, safe, well-maintained fields where kids can enjoy the game of soccer. This is to give our youth a structured environment to grow. This gives us, dramatic effect. This gives the game, competitive soccer, an opportunity to continue to grow in the great town of Tillsonburg. I will point out, we do support smaller municipalities around us in that competitive environment. We bring in people from the Langtons, the Elmers, the Delhaize of the surrounding towns. I will pause there for any questions.
Councillor Parker.
Brett, first off, thank you for coming and presenting. You did a very good job tonight. I do have a number of questions. We're going to start with a business plan. After this field gets created, is there a business plan that Tillsonburg Minor Soccer can share with council to be able to sustain this? Because this is a significant investment and it does take money to continue running the facilities. So after the field gets built, what plans have been put in place to make sure that this is sustainable?
Yeah, for sure. I think currently, correct me if I'm wrong, but the town is responsible for cutting the grass, right? And that is something that we would ask the town to continue to do, is cut the grass. We as the club will provide the nets. We'll provide the paint to paint the fields. So we'll have a business plan, in the fact for tonight's purpose is to get buy-in for, can we do this? We have plans to fundraise the initial costs to build the park, to get it to the standards we want it to be. The business plan after the fact will be the board of directors will support the ongoing initiative that it is to run the soccer park.
Okay, thank you. I have concerns about not seeing a business plan before the proposal came forward, because I think it needs to be sustainable and that information needs to be made available to the public. That's my personal opinion. The next, Tillsonburg Minor Soccer used Gilvesy Park Tillsonburg FC used Gilvesy Park last summer for practices and stuff.
We have been using it for my entire youth. Yeah, I've used it my entire career.
Have any funds been paid to the town of Tillsonburg for that?
No. Okay. We do have again, our approach was get the buy-in from the council and then discuss business plans and show the longevity of it before that process starts. But what I will say is we do plan on renting that land from the town of Tillsonburg on an ongoing basis.
Okay, so that's I guess part of my thought process on it is, if you're using the facilities, they probably should have been paid for, because that money actually goes back into upkeep of the facility and it actually has more money inside that facility when you pay for it, right? So if we've been using that, or you guys have been using that facility over the last few years and not paying any money towards it, that money is not available. Right, so that's just another point. And as for the U12 girls that you guys brought up, when was the request made to Tillsonburg Minor Soccer, and was it made on time?
So I feel like that's a leading question, but I will answer it. The answer was, it was delivered at the start of the season when the team formed. So we, as a competitive environment, didn't know that team was going to form right away. And so it was a later request made to Tillsonburg Minor Soccer. Absolutely.
Okay, so
again, in knowing that and controlling your own fields and not being a renter in the town of Tillsonburg impacts how we can leverage those fields and make decisions. We don't have that say because we're a renter.
Fair enough. No, thank you for your answer. Thank you for your honesty. Those are all the questions that I have today.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Quick question here on behalf of neighbors. Not on behalf of myself, on behalf of neighbors, but I'd like this answer. Lighting. You said this is primarily youth, so it'd be mostly afternoon and early evening games due to their age. Am I correct, or am I leading you here?
No,
You're talking about lighting them, so what's the absolute latest that the neighbors could expect lights to be shining in their backyard, or are they all directed directly on the soccer park?
There's no lights for the foreseeable future.
No,
for that
no
park.
lights, so that's that puts that one to rest.
That's again, the men and the women will stay at Tillsonburg Minor Soccer Park for that reason.
Okay,
Most of the games conducted by the youth are.
that's a
within-
great answer. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Counselor Parsons.
Thank you, through your mayor. Brett, good presentation. I'd like to know if you could outline any other, aside from the lighting that we've just discussed, any other risks or opportunities impacting the neighbors. It's a neighborhood there, and I'd like to know how your plan would impose on them or alleviate any concerns.
Yeah, so the first one I'll say was obviously increased traffic to the neighborhood, right? That's a given when you're bringing youth and parents and grandparents and you know, people coming to watch the youth play soccer. So I would say that is a concern. I would assume for the neighborhood. There's a small section, I don't know, maybe I can show you. On this section of the town property here, there's a driveway that leads into that soccer field. There's a lot of concern typically where people park here. So we would recommend that we block that off. We stop people from being able to park there. It causes them to come and flow to our parking lot. That would be my biggest concern. And again, playing there for the last 30 years, that is where we have most of our concerns with us playing at that park. The next one would be just the parking lot in general. It's quite small currently. It's grass. So obviously, you know, when it rains and it's down in the bottom a little bit, it's muddy. But those would be my concerns. Even as a neighbor, the park itself is, it's a nice park, it's a nice piece of green space, but it's not necessarily functioning for anything specifically. So I think it would bring a lot of character. I think it would bring a lot of, we would clean it up. We'd make sure we take care of it. It'd be our home. We'd be proud of it, right? So I think that's the other thing I'll mention there. But yeah, the big concern, that leading driveway.
Just if I may. Sorry, to just clarify, the idea would be to have no parking on, I think that's Barker Street. You would be able to get by with no parking. Therefore favorable to those residents, I assume.
Correct.
And do you have an ask for the town? I'm not sure what it is you're actually asking.
To be able to make that happen, we're going to fundraise most of those dollars. Our ask from the town is to help and assist with the parking lot on the far end of the town. That again doesn't need to be done immediately. We anticipate a 3-year plan for this, but the rest of everything else would be on the Tillsonburg Football Club.
Specifically, how much money are you talking about?
We've had different quotes and different things done to get to this stage. It's tough to put a number on it because there's different opinions on how you get that done and how you do it properly. And one person will say we got to change the sewers, we got to change the sidewalks, we got to change everything to have that happen. Some say we can just pave it. So different opinions. I've heard as high as 200,000 and I've heard less than 200,000.
So that could be clarified.
That is just the
Councilor
parking lot.
Parker has said that a business plan would really be helpful and for council to guide council in the community. So I agree with Councilor Parker. Thank you for your answers.
No problem. And I agree. I think we didn't want to put the cart in front of the horse, if you will, in regards to having a business plan. We're really looking for council's buy-in for, can we proceed? Can we see how much money we can raise? How much money can we do this with? We have some initial quotes, but that's our thoughts there.
Okay, I've got Counselor Rosehart and then Counselor Luciani.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to Grant. So the roadway coming into that park area is in really rough shape. So even before you could use it, we would already have to start doing repairs on that too.
You're talking Bond Street?
Yes.
Again, differing opinions on what rough shape is, I believe. I've went in and out of parking lot the same way for the last 20 years. And I can get in that parking lot with my Hyundai Elantra and it's not a big vehicle. I get down to the bottom of the grass. So again, varying opinions on what I agree. We're going to have to do work eventually. Is it today? Is it tomorrow? again, we need to address that and we're willing to work with and set expectations to do that for sure.
So we're the ones that would have to prefer to be the first ones in there to fix that.
If you deem it needing to be fixed, yes. Again, we've had different opinions on if Bond Street needs to be fixed in order to do that.
Thank you.
Through the mayor to Brett. In regard to the local residents who right now have access to that park and can enjoy the amenities at will, how does this affect them in the future if they've got kids that like go over there and I don't know, play baseball, do whatever? Where does that put the pressure on the neighborhood?
For sure. So, as you can see, these soccer fields aren't always going to be in use, right? That's step one. There's a lot of green space in between all of these soccer fields that can be used still to walk. We do plan on adding a sidewalk around the main field for our residents to walk around. Again, 3-year plan, but that is our goal, and we do hope to achieve that goal. Again, as I've said, these fields, yeah, you may not be able to pick up and play baseball when there's a soccer game going on, but it's not going to be 24/7, 365. I believe that our club would work with the people of that neighborhood to allow them access to that park. There's going to be a chain link fence, but it's not going to be locked, right? It's just to protect the neighborhood. So this chain link fence all along the side here is going to be high enough so that it doesn't impact the yards and behind those houses that are there. So we did take the people of Tillsonburg into consideration when building this plan.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Parker.
Yeah, just two more questions that have kind of came from that. So on the map there, it's got the, I guess the office and the washrooms and the change rooms and stuff there. So what is the plan to get hydro from the road over to that area? Who's going to be responsible for the cost of that? And then also, I think you mentioned earlier that you guys were still expecting the town to cut the grass, correct?
So I misspoke. Michael, to be honest, Michael has led this project. Michael would know that answer. And Michael's saying, no, we will take care of all things maintenance. But do want to still pay rent to go back into the town and for the property. Your first question?
So the first question is, who's going to be responsible for the cost of hydro,
Us. Sorry.
water,
Yes.
everything like that?
Tillsonburg.
Have you guys priced out the cost of bringing water and sewer into that area?
Yes, we have.
Yeah, we could have, again, we have the financials on how much this is going to cost us. But again, didn't put it together in a business plan. We'd be happy to do that for you guys. So it, looks a little more, put together because we have thought about that process, but we didn't want to get, again, cart in front of the horse. We wanted to make sure we had buy-in to use the land and start that project. And we have a goal of 3 years. It doesn't happen in 3 years. We're realistic as well. We want to see the longevity of this continue to happen. It could take us 5 years. It could take us 2 years. Again, we're going to continue to work with the town, with the people of the town and then within ourselves to make this project work for the youth.
Counselor Rosar, did you have a follow-up? And then
Thank you,
Counselor
Madam Mayor.
Spencer.
Just a follow-up. So you're talking a chain link fence. So at the other soccer park, you have netting that going up. Is that going to be the same here? I guess it was going to be a wooden fence, but it's chain link, and will there be netting going up?
The netting is the soccer ball from going behind and in this situation, there's nothing that's going to cause, pull this over here. So the immediate concern for the houses is obviously here. Right, so this will be a chain link, a 16-foot high chain link fence that's going to stop that. As you shoot towards the goal, you're going to have, you're not shooting against the houses, so that the mesh doesn't need to be there. Same with this field, you're not shooting against the homes. You're going to have the chain link fence that will stop the soccer ball from going into the backyards.
Thank you.
Counselor Spencer.
I just wanted to say it's a well put together presentation, and I think soccer is a huge part of Tillsonburg. My kids actually started playing on this field before the soccer club when they were little. But I do have a couple questions, and it does fall in line a lot with what's being said. If the parking needs to be bigger and that's not put in until the fall, where are people going to park if this were to be put in?
So I'll answer that, and if you have more, we'll go back to
Okay.
those after. It's going to be a phased approach to the soccer fields. In phase one here, this field, the main one, we're not planning on using that. We're going to still rent from the minor soccer park. we really have a need for the intermediate and the mini fields. The amount of players that play on those games are very minimal. We believe the parking that's currently at Govese Park will hold those at max capacity.
Okay.
So again, phased approach, we're aware that our parking is limited. We're going to own the schedule. We'll make sure we plan to make sure that that doesn't happen and overflow into the neighborhood buying.
Okay. And I guess going forward again with the business plan, later in phase two, the fall of 2023, you're asking for that money to be put forth by the town, 200K approximately. But without money in the bank, so to speak, from you guys, it's difficult to give out that money, because what if you didn't fundraise enough, or then we put all this money in to Bond Street or the parking lot with no guarantee that it'll be used or rented, et cetera. So I think, the business plan part of it is essential.
That logic is very sound. I brought that same thing up to the board. Our concern is if we start to fundraise for a project that hasn't started, it looks pretty hokey pokey if we go the other way, right? So we did our best to put as much together as we could. We understand that the financials aren't in place, but we have to go earn those financials. And so what we're looking for more or less is a blessing to proceed with the proposed plan. Again, I don't believe personally that Bond Street is going to limit the first aspect or the first phase, which is create these fields for the youth of the 2023 season. Again, longevity, we need to work with you, the town, and within ourselves to how we do this and propose a business plan. And then we can work out those, those details, very important details, don't get me wrong, but those details as we get the initial buy-in for our project.
Right. And I guess I'm just saying, like many have already echoed, that to buy into this, as you're saying, there needs to be more information, how much it's going to cost you to do all this, how much you're going to fundraise, and to put the money in from the town and the taxpayers' money to put it forth without a definitive amount from you guys already would be a difficult decision to make, for sure.
I think we're happy to do that. We've done all of that homework. We know how much it's going to cost. We haven't started the fundraising aspect of it, just for the sake of, again, we don't want to start saying, hey, we're going to do this, and then we don't have this project take off the ground. We're looking for, I guess, maybe more of a
Expressed interest.
an expressed interest from the town that this project we believe is a go. Show us how you're going to do it now. Show us the money, and then we can go and make that happen.
Right.
It's just, again, the expressed interest. Thank you, Joe. That's a good word. Expressed interest from the town is what we're looking to accomplish from today's
Right.
meeting.
And I think at least what I'm hearing is that the council would like that budget to go forward first. My other question was there's trees being cut down and then replaced a couple years later. Just curious how many trees we're talking about.
You want me to talk? Sure. Okay, so I have
Could you just come up to the microphone, please? Thank you.
So I have quite an extensive knowledge of forestry. And so having spent a fair bit of time along the fence row, as we look at the quality of trees, we can improve the quality significantly, first of all, by removing a lot of the Manitoba maples. Then thinning properly, pruning properly, and adding quality trees back in place. So it's actually a green space that could use a huge amount of improvement if we're given a little bit of freedom to do that. So that would be my statement on it. It's not, right now, it's not a quality green space, and it could be made one.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much, Brett, for the presentation, and Michael and John. We appreciate it. Now I'll turn towards Councillor Parker, who has a resolution.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Rosehair. The council receives the soccer fields request delegation as information, and that the presentation be sent to the Recreation and Sports Advisory Committee and the Parks, Beautification and Cemeteries Committee for comment. I'd like to speak to that. This is really where the grassroots of the community of decisions that get made around here start. So I'm suggesting that we send it to those advisory committees because those are the true people that have knowledge of all of our facilities in town. So I'd like to see it go there first. As well, I have a few questions for the Director of Parks and Recreation as well. The first, I know that you've had conversations with the groups about this. What was the estimated cost of the parking lot to the town? And do we need new sewers and stuff put in? And I guess that would go towards Jonathan as well.
Thank you. Through the mayor to Council Parker. We did have several meetings with the TFC with regards to the upgrades to the Gilvazy Park. One of the conversations was around the existing parking lot, the entrance off Bond Street, signage. Drainage was already addressed today. There is some drainage issues. We've had a couple of site meetings. We had Public Works operations involved in those. The engineer for the town did an estimate. He costed out the existing footprint, not the enlarged footprint that is shown on their plan, but the existing smaller footprint with drainage, sub-base, new base, gravel, not paved. It's $200,000, including the entranceway to Bond Street. That's what the engineer has provided us. Thank you.
And follow up, what does the subdivision agreement about Gilvazy Park currently state? Is it supposed to be used for recreation, passive park use? What does what is the current usage for that?
Thank you. Through the mayor to you, Council Parker. The current subdivision agreement states as public lands with park use. Block 102, I think.
Thank you.
We do have a letter from the family if you want me to read that at all.
No, like the presentation portion is over and we have a resolution that we have to debate on the floor. Thank you.
Thanks.
It's confusing, I know. Councilor Rosart.
Clarification on park use. Sorry, to the director.
Through the mayor to Councilor Rosehart, the subdivision agreement specifically says public lands for park purposes. That is quote unquote. Is that what you're asking for clarification on the subdivision agreement? Yeah. Block 102, public lands for park purposes. That's all it says. It addresses the park and the subdivision agreement. Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions? Feel, because I can speak a bit on behalf of the family here, because it was my father-in-law that donated that park. If you have more information from the family, that should be presented at the meeting when you take it to the committee. And I just do want to seek clarification, Councillor Parker. So you want it sent to 2 committees. Do you expect a business plan to go to those committees before it comes back to council?
I would think that that would be beneficial.
Okay, so the delegation understand the directive with regards to the motion. Perfect. Any other questions? Nope, I'll call the vote then. All those in favor? That's unanimous and carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
It'll be a mass exodus now, I'm sure, right? Maybe it'll cool down in here a little bit. I don't know if anyone wants to stay the next presentation. Will be very informative regarding outreach services that are available in the town of Tillsonburg. Please just keep your voices down while exiting because we're going to carry forward with our meeting. Thank you very much. We're moving on to item 7.2 and we have a presentation from Abby Bostard, Oxford County Community Health Center Outreach. It's all yours, Abby.
Thank you, Mayor Gilvazy. here I walked in and I thought, whoa, like our presentation must be super interesting. And it's not. So I just want to start by saying thank you so much for inviting myself on behalf of Oxford County Community Health Center here to present and share a little bit of information on our overall perspective from the CHC and more specifically what it is that we've been doing here in Tillsonburg. So I'll just start with a little bit of background information on Oxford County Community Health Center for those of you who may not be aware of our services. The individuals that we typically serve are individuals who are marginalized, low income, facing significant life barriers. The purpose of a community health center is really to focus on the social determinants of health and to offer low barrier wraparound services. So I often say to individuals, you know, if we don't have a roof over our head or food in our belly, it's really difficult to try to manage our chronic disease. So the community health center really does have a holistic approach and a wraparound approach to care, recognizing that health is so much more than just the medical aspect. So we are a not-for-profit charitable organization, and our funding comes from Ontario Health West, which is formerly known as the Southwest LHIN. Our main site is in Woodstock, though we do have a point of access here at the Livingston Center with full-time access to our mental health and substance use therapist, as well as our community outreach services. So just to give a quick overview of what the CHC looks like, we do have what we call two streams of care. So our first stream of care is primary care, where we have a team of physicians, nurse practitioners, and RNs. And then we also have what we call our allied health stream of care, which encompasses physio, dietitian, community outreach, therapy, and counseling, as well as housing stability. So I know the interest for tonight really was to focus on the mobile health outreach bus and the street outreach. So I just want to clarify, though we still call it the mobile health outreach bus, we don't physically have a bus here in Tillsonburg with us every Wednesday. So we're really trying to change the language to more street outreach. So we are still out weekly. You'll see us downtown with our backpacks, but if individuals are actually looking for the bus is not here weekly. So just to clarify that from the beginning. Originally, the mobile health outreach bus was launched in September of 2020. We were very fortunate that we received some additional funding specific to COVID-19 funding, recognizing that the individuals that we serve didn't have access to the technology or phone. So as we noticed a lot of our services being offered via Zoom or teleconference, tele-appointments through medical health, the individuals that we connected with didn't have access. So we applied for additional funding where we could take our services to the street. We were successful in receiving the pilot project funding. Unfortunately, we were not successful in continued funding. However, once we had been out there for a year, we recognized that this was a service that was so valuable to communities across Oxford County that we continued to offer it. The difference is when we first were funded, we had the funding to have a nurse practitioner out on the street with us, which was absolutely amazing. I will never forget the first time that I was out on the bus with Jen. We were parked in the Avondale parking lot. We had an individual come up. She did her medical assessment, asked him what pharmacy he uses. He had said Cowards. She popped on her laptop, sent the script over and said, okay, you can go pick it up. And I was like, Jen, like we just did that from a parking lot. So that was, one of the highlights of first starting the service here. Like I said, the difference is for Tillsonburg, we no longer have a nurse practitioner attached to that, but that truly is the only difference from the initial funding from COVID-19 to where we are now. So Tillsonburg specific, we are on the streets every Wednesday. We are out weekly from 11 to 3. Despite the weather, we're out on the street. Other agencies involved, aside from the CHC, are Canadian Mental Health Association. So I do have a colleague from CMHA who is out every week with myself. And then every other week, we either have a housing stability worker from the Community Health Center with us, or we have someone from Oxford County Human Services. At times, we have utilized some indoor space, which has been very generously available through either the upper deck or the public library. So we've used indoor space for a few reasons. It provides really just a warming station for those individuals that we're connecting with. It provides them opportunity where they could actually plug in if they did have access to a phone. And allows a little bit more conducive space if we're doing like paperwork or applications, though we actually are finding we're more visible and more accessible when we're on the street. Knock on wood, we've had a beautiful winter so far this year, so we haven't even had to talk about what our indoor space looks like, and typically we're on the streets. So the data for Tillsonburg specifically, on average, we are connecting with 30 to 40 individuals a week. So when we're out from the 11 to 3, and when we use the word encounters or connection, it really is more than the hello, how's it going? It's checking in to seeing, did they have any meals? What couch did they sleep on last night? Do they need any of our gear or anything from our backpacks? So our annual stats for our fiscal year of 21 and 22, we had 790 encounters for Tillsonburg specific. I actually just, it was after I had sent the presentation to Laura, but I was able to find some updated information as well. So from May until the end of November, we have already reached 711 encounters. So clearly in this next fiscal, we are going to surpass last year's numbers for sure. The most common requests that we get when we're on the street are specific to housing support, mental health support, socks and hygiene items. I think socks is probably one of the most popular things that we hand out year round, advocacy, and then that social interaction. So I did include a quote from one of the individuals who we typically see weekly when we are downtown. And he shared, for the first time meeting the community outreach team, I thought that they were just out here because they had to be. I quickly found out that they are here to help me. I feel they have really gone above and beyond what anyone would have expected. They have really helped me get connected to supports I never knew were available. They keep me accountable and are very supportive with anything I have going on in my life. Since connecting with them, they have helped me and several others I know needed the help, but were hesitant talking to anyone. I know 100% that they have found the help they need as well. So this individual actually probably is the individual on the street who has provided the most referrals to us as well. So especially with the street community, they are a very close-knit group, and we definitely have found once you build trust and relationships with one or two of them, we can do all the promoting on social media, presentations, whatever that looks like. It's really building the trust and relationships. And this individual has connected so many other folks to us, which to me is so heartwarming because that's better than any other professional referral. When you have that person-to-person referral, it's way more powerful. So I did just include a little bit about what we take out in our backpack. So if you were to see me on a Wednesday, I always carry the blue backpack, and some of the gear that we have inside will include winter items, so hats, mitts, socks, lots of hygiene items. Right now, hand cream is another big one. So for folks being outside, just to help a little bit of that relief. If we have access to taxi vouchers or Tim Hortons cards, we always hand those out as well. And then we always have a bag of snacks. And I'm biased to the Tillsonburg community because I live here as well, but I can just share that we are so blessed in the donations that we have received here. So we actually received some donations from Starbucks, from Sobeys, and more recently Blue Cow Delivery. So every week when we go out, we have sandwiches to hand out, we have muffins, we have chocolate milk. And so it may just be, it is a Band-Aid solution. It is in that moment, but it is also one of the opportunities that then we can offer some food or a drink that we can start to engage and have the conversation with individuals as well. So I'm just going to move a little bit into the housing stability as well, as I know that that's a hot topic. So we do have housing support and housing stability workers at the Community Health Center. They offer community case management, which includes advocacy, housing system navigation, case management on individualized supports plan, as well as ensuring positive tenancy, connections to the Elgin Oxford Legal Clinic if needed, landlord mediation, home visits if needed, eviction prevention, rapid rehousing, and then once we get individuals into stable housing, we provide them with welcome home kits or furniture assistance. So again, looking at Tillsonburg specific, we do have a housing stability worker 4 days a week here, located at the Livingston Center and CMHA shared space. Her current caseload is 30 individuals. Of those 30 on her caseload, 14 of them are housing seeking, 8 are housing stability, and 8 are need information. So not actively involved, but respond to inquiries when appropriate. Looking into some exciting future plans for Tillsonburg. We are looking at potential transition living for the town of Tillsonburg. And just to provide a little bit of background, we do have a transitional living program in Woodstock currently. And transitional living is defined as the step between homelessness and permanent housing. So right now in Woodstock, we have a program called Huron House. At Huron House, it has 14 bedrooms. They are common spaces and shared living spaces with individual bedrooms. It is owned by a private landlord who is strongly committed to community. And the Community Health Center offered a full-time staff available Monday through Friday at Huron House. So our partnership goal for Tillsonburg is we are looking to mirror that success here on a little bit of a smaller scale. So we're looking at a home up to 8 individuals. We've been in partnership and ongoing conversations with United Way. And United Way is currently looking for a home here in Tillsonburg. I don't think that's a surprise. I believe that Kelly has presented to you in the past. So we're just looking to try to find that suitable housing here. United Way would then purchase the home and own it. The Community Health Center would offer the transitional partnership and have a staff on site available for that, for the success of the program. And then the other program that we have available to Tillsonburg community is mental health and substance use services. So we have a full-time mental health and addiction counselor located at the Livingston Center, and services are available to anyone 12 years and older. We do often get the question, do they have to be Tillsonburg residents? Recognizing that we are Tri-County, even though you might have a Tillsonburg address but live in Norfolk and Elgin, we really try to be as flexible as we can. We consider if Tillsonburg is their home community, regardless of their address, that they can still access our mental health addiction services as well as outreach. And then last but not least, we offer the outreach program. So outreach services are available full-time in Tillsonburg as well, located at the Livingston Center. Outreach can assist and support with a variety of different interests or concerns. Some may include connecting to resources, so some system navigation. It might be replacing or obtaining ID, which is an ongoing challenge for individuals who are living transient. It's very, very difficult to get your first piece of ID when you don't have any ID. So we do offer some ID clinics. Assisting with documentation and applications, some advocacy, and really just trying to ensure that basic needs are met. So I know that I shared a whole lot of information with you in a short time, but please, if anyone has any questions around what programs we currently offer or the future of CHC here in Tillsonburg, feel free to ask.
Councillor Spencer, thank you. Thank you, Abby.
Thanks, Abby. Nice to see you. I just want to say thank you for that presentation. I think CHC and the advocacy that you guys provide is invaluable to this town. And the work that you're looking to do is pretty amazing. You talked about donations. Can anybody donate? And if so, how?
For sure. So anyone can donate, and you really just need to reach out to me. So it can either be through the Livingston Center or just reach out to me personally. We have received individual donations. We've received donations from businesses. I'm not going to lie, my husband sometimes comes home to just garbage bags on my front step because people just know to leave stuff at our house. So we welcome any donations. We are definitely in the right place when I say that we're at the Livingston Center as well. So oftentimes individuals within the community will come to the center looking to donate. I just had a bag of hats and mitts donated today. So yes, please feel free just to connect with me directly for donations.
Thank you very much. And I just wanted to say that I love this approach with the full holistic model of from housing to mental health to addiction advocacy, et cetera. I just think that was really well done. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly.
Councillor Parker.
Through you, Mayor Gilvezi, to Abby. First off, thank you for coming and presenting. The services that you and your team provide are invaluable to the community. We did have Kelly from the United Way here to present to the Affordable and Attainable Housing Committee a couple weeks ago, and she mentioned the partnership, and I know that they've kind of struggled to find a place so far. Once they do find that place, how long will it take for you and your team to be ready to mobilize to jump in and start that project. Because I think that they want to start moving really quick once they get their house.
Absolutely. And we are ready to start anytime. So with our housing support worker based here in Tillsonburg, it will look a little bit different, that likely she will be placed at the transitional house part-time and then still have community meetings. It depends on what the house looks like and how it's set up. But to answer your question, Councillor Parker, we're ready to start tomorrow. As soon as we have the house available, our program is ready.
That's what I like to hear. Thank you.
Councillor Parsons?
Yeah, thank you, through your Madam Mayor, and thank you for your presentation. Very, very warm and heartwarming, I should say. Of the 14 that are housing seeking, are they homeless people? Do they have a place to sleep, or can you explain more about that?
For sure. So great question. So we do have some individuals who know that their tenancy is coming to an end. So the landlord has given them a notice of whether that's a few months or what that looks like. It's different per situation. So they are trying to be in a position where they have another place to move into. We do definitely have some absolute homelessness individuals, and that's often a question that I get asked is how many homeless individuals do we have here in Tillsonburg? And so as I was preparing today, I was, quickly just going through in my head, and I would say off the top of my head, I could probably say 7 or 8 are currently sleeping outside with sleeping bags and tarps right now. The difficulty is it's hard to place a number. Number one, that they're transient. And number two, we have so many individuals with NFAs or with no fixed address. So they may not identify themselves as homeless. As a provider, we do, because it is not secure, stable housing. So those are the folks that we're connecting with on Wednesdays. Whose couch did you sleep at last night? Are you able to stay there for a couple more nights? Perhaps when they receive their check, they might get a few nights at Hilltop, but it's not secure, it's not stable. So it really is dependent of individuals. Like I said, off the top of my head, I would definitely say 7 or 8 individuals that I'm aware of, that I'm connected to. So I'm sure that there's more within the community that I'm not connected to, who are living in absolute homelessness right now. Individuals with NFAs, I would probably say, again, just going through my list of individuals, at least a dozen who are who do not have a fixed address.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor, to Amy. Sometimes young people will decide to take a little, experience across Canada and stay at like a youth hostel and that sort of thing. Is this the type of thing that will be set up here in Tillsonburg or in Woodstock if someone was backpacking across Canada and wanted to spend a night or two? Is that the availability for this sort of setup, or is it more of a weekly or monthly setup?
Yeah, so in terms of the transitional living, what we really hope for is we can have individuals stay at Huron House for 364 days. So 1 day less a year. It's that time that we really try to help stabilize them and to be successful tenants in the future. So our transitional house would not necessarily be a week to week or a night to night, not the shelter model, but more of the more transitional, how do we get people from homelessness to more successful permanent housing.
Any other questions? Councillor Rosart.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. To Abby, thank you very much. Very well done. I'm impressed. And yes, we have 7 homeless in town right now that we know of. The housing you're looking for, you said 8 to 10. Like, is that a house with that many rooms in it? Or like, I'm just trying to get a better clarification.
Thank you for the question. I think that it would be a maximum of 8, and it would be dependent on what's available. So I know that United Way has done a couple tours of houses here in Tillsonburg. It would be for bedrooms, so common living space. I don't know how much I can share. So what I can share is up to 8 is what we're currently hoping for the home that they have toured here.
And it's just a transition where they would be able to get back into working and getting out there, because I know the upper deck.
Absolutely.
Thankful to them, to the people who run it on Sunday, have done an amazing job and have had 3 people found them jobs already, and they're back out in society and feeling great about themselves. So is this what we're looking at doing in these homes as well?
For sure. And so I can speak to what happens at Huron House, which is our transitional house in Woodstock. And we do have a full-time housing support worker Monday through Friday. And so it might be, you know, initially when individuals move in, it might be helping with ID, with applications, so that then eventually they can apply for jobs, they can apply for more permanent housing. So it is that that true wraparound holistic approach to care in whatever the individual needs in their situation to make their life look successful, which oftentimes is different than what we might gauge as successful, but employment absolutely would be part of that. So not to say that we would do that on our own. We work very, very closely with our partners here in Tillsonburg. So it would be partnering with Multi-Service Center Employment Services to offer that support if it's employment specific.
And how would we get some more outreach cards?
I brought a stack of business cards with me.
Julie.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. Hi, Abby. Nice to finally meet you
Yes,
in person.
likewise.
Had a couple of conversations on the phone, but I'm just curious, staff have been asked to research some of the various groups that are helping in our community here in Tillsonburg. There's been a presentation in the past with 2 of the volunteer groups. What I've experienced so far, and I think I shared this with you on the phone, it seems a little bit disjointed in Tillsonburg that we have these various groups all trying to accomplish the same outcome. And I'm just wondering if you could give us from your expertise, the best guidance on how we could bring together all the groups to work towards the same goal collectively and cohesively. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Such a great question. I'm going to be completely honest and say I have been in this role since 2010. I feel like the housing topic has been on the table since probably 2010. We have had lots of joint community meetings with individuals from community members, from churches, from other organizations. I feel sometimes the difference is, and we are so fortunate to have those volunteer groups. Volunteer groups can move a little bit quicker and are able to move a little bit quicker than organizations and agencies that have a different process. So Julie, as we said too, like one of the avenues could be the Tillsonburg Resource Network. So we are a group of individuals. Our email distribution list is over 100 people. We meet monthly, and that's where a lot of times we have the joint communication and conversations. So that would be one avenue. And then I think it really is, we work very closely together. So when I think about Healing Hearts, the community table, Salvation Army, like I work so closely with all of those individuals, whether they're volunteer or professional providers. Our goal is all the same. The means to get there is a little bit different depending on what organization you're attached to.
Thank you. Excellent question. Any other questions from council? Abby, I want to thank you. I think when I was still campaigning, I reached out to you and said, if I can, and I'm having you here. Completely valuable service that you're offering the community. I've seen you out on the front steps of the mall, helping individuals, you know, with your backpacks on. So you're a welcome resource in the community. You don't mind if I share your contact information that you
No.
provided?
Yeah.
And for members watching, on page 60 of the agenda, all of Abby's contact information is on there as well. And I'll make sure that I share it moving forward. And we could possibly share something on our social media page on Facebook as well. One quick question, do you have a Facebook page that people could
We
follow?
do Oxford County Community Health Center.
Great, thank you. Thank you very
Yes,
much.
Thanks very much.
And who has a resolution? Go ahead.
I have the resolution. Thank you very much, Mayor, and Abby. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Parker, that council receives the mobile outreach bus presentation as information.
Thank you. Any questions with regards to the resolution? Seeing none, all those in favor? It's unanimous and carried. Thank you. Thank you, Abby. Item 7.3, petition heavy trucks, Goshen, Ontario, Ball, Lincoln, and Tilson Streets, presented by Marion Smith.
Thank you to council for allowing me to present this petition for council's consideration. I appreciate that. So the residents of Goshen Street, Ontario Street, Ball Street, Lincoln Street, and Tilson Street, which is one of the older parts of town, we wish to make a request to the town of Tillsonburg to prevent heavy trucks, meaning transports mostly, from using these streets to access the factories which are in the area to the west of Tilson Street. All of these streets up there are residential and have been for many decades, long before the factories were built in this area. Over the years, the heavy trucks have destroyed the pavement on these streets. Speed also presents a danger to children and residents who are walking on the street, as there are no sidewalks in this area. We have a lot of children who use Lincoln Street to get to the bus stop and get back home at night. And there are no sidewalks up there. And that's Lincoln Street is the street that the transport trucks are basically racing down to get to Goshen Street to turn to get up to number 3 highway. So access to the factories from the west side of Lincoln Street could be easily done by way of the roundabout and Plank Road. Be far easier for them to go out to Plank Road, use the roundabout to get to number 3 and come in that way, because the factories are all on the west end of Lincoln Street, pretty much. They would be much closer to the factories using this route. So this, as I mentioned, this is an older part of town. I've been there for 38 years and it tends to get overlooked as far as improvements are concerned. I was told 3 years ago by the engineer for the town that Lincoln Street and some of the streets up there would be redone this year in 2022, which didn't happen. I understand that that is going ahead for next year, which we can hope for. They're surveying up there, so I'm assuming that's a good sign. Excuse me, the cost to the town to accomplish this would simply be the cost of signage, to put up signs to prevent the trucks from going down to the east end of Lincoln Street. So wanted to keep it simple. I had the petition as signatures on it from the people in this area, and we'd just like to request from the town that we put up some signage to prevent the trucks from coming to that end of Lincoln Street. The street is so bad for pavement that 2 cars meeting each other have to slow down to get past each other, because the edges of the pavement are no longer in existence up there. The town comes up every week or so with their truckload of pavement and fills in all the holes as well as they can, but it's really bad up there. So, and children are walking on the road to get to the bus stop. So, any questions?
Does council have any questions? Maybe I am going to turn it over to Director of Operations, because I think that you could give an overview. I believe construction is moving favorably that way for the next number of years.
Through the worship to the delegate, that is correct. We are proposing more attention, as it would be in this localized area, in terms of capital improvements. For food for thought, for consideration, traffic counts were done in the area in 2015. There are notable increases on 2 collectors, being Tilson and Porsche. I'm going to say this wrong. Goshen, in the range of about 2,500 to 1,000. So there is some patterning going here. Although road reconstruction and improvements would be warranted and justified, this is really a land use planning scenario driven by the commercial corridor that's neighboring the area. So it's a little harder to manage appropriately in terms of persuading different traffic routes. But we certainly can investigate signs, but that would be something that would be under authority of a given bylaw and subsequently be driven down to our bylaw enforcement and to the OPP. So that's really where the rubber would hit the road in terms of pushing people somewhere else, but it's consideration for council.
Does anyone have any more questions for Marion? So with regards to that, well, there's a couple things. We have I was just going to say we have a master transportation plan, potentially. I believe that's next year. Am I correct?
That is correct, although Bill 23 is questioning how we'll get to the funding as well.
All right.
But we can certainly localize and report back to the traffic committee and come back to the council as well. And because I think it's really important, we have to overlay not only the fundamentals of what we're doing engineering wise, but the capital improvements that are coming around the corner as well. And kind of hit that really nice sweet spot in terms of, are we doing the right improvements? And can we capture some of the local concerns as it relates to traffic?
So that as well, yes, there's going to be a new traffic committee. And this is really where all these type of issues are going to be funneled to for
Right.
comment and review back to council. So Cephas, did you have a question, a comment?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Just in terms of Goshen Street in particular, because that is a connecting route through to Bell Mill Side Road. Would you see that Goshen Street itself being the edge, really the residential neighborhood, would
It
actually
is.
have restrictions as well?
I think it affects Goshen because the trucks come east on Lincoln to Goshen and then turn to go to number 3.
Yeah, so if I could clarify further, Goshen runs north-south.
Yes.
Town line is here, I guess.
Yeah.
And then Bell Mill Side Road keeps running down to Highway 3. The reason why I ask is because a lot of traffic comes up from that area, Highway 3, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying that Goshen Road should be made stopped from allowing any trucks on it as well from that area to the south, or just the east-west roads that run?
If the trucks can be redirected to number 3 by using Plank Road and the roundabout, that would stop them from using Goshen quite as much. The south part of Goshen, that's south of Lincoln, would still have trucks because there's Town Line and there's Spruce Street where there are factories down there. So they would still need to use Goshen Street to access those streets. It's Lincoln Street that's really the residential area. So it's Lincoln that runs east and west, and that's what the trucks are using right now to come down through there to get to Goshen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm just concerned, just want to know that from an industrial perspective, since many of our businesses are located in that area. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm going to turn to Councillor Luciani. You have a resolution?
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Parsons that council receives a petition, heavy trucks, Goshen, Ontario, Ball, Lincoln and Tilson Streets as information, and that it be provided to the Traffic Advisory Committee.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? That's unanimous.
Thank you very much for allowing me the time to present this. Thank you.
Now I'm going to stand up, if I could get you to stand up as well, Deputy Mayor. I have the honor of presenting a longtime service award to our Deputy Mayor, Dave Barris. He has served the town for 25 years. I'm going to read, this is from the Honorable Minister Steve Clark, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing. On behalf of the Government of Ontario, thank you for your outstanding work in helping to build strong communities in Ontario. Congratulations and best wishes for the future. From the town of Tillsonburg, we congratulate you. For those out there watching, 25 years to dedicate yourself to public service really is truly phenomenal. You know, this is my 5th year. I know the amount of time, dedication, the weekends, the nights, the reading, there's so much that goes into it. So to do this for 25 years and just devote yourself to the public, you should be very proud, and so should your family. Congratulations. Thank you.
Very nice, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Can we get it here? Thank you very much. Can I say a couple of things?
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you.
When I first, and I'm not surprised because I heard about this on Friday when I read the agenda, so nobody told me this was coming. So I didn't really create a speech, but I've been thinking about it on the weekend and, you know, when I first ran back in the nineties, I said, the same thing that most newcomers do in their speeches, that, the town's been good to me, so I'd like to give something back. And I've had that privilege. What was said a little earlier from, Abby, that the town had, I think there was 5,500 people when I first got on council. It got up to about 1,200 in 2014. And now we're at the grown-up stable, we're over 20,000 people. And it's certainly a pleasure to be part of that growth. Now, some of the things that really stick out are Maclean's magazine, talking, I believe, in 2021, when they said we're the 25th best place to live in Canada. And I was a part of that. And I think the biggest part of it is, initiating the actions and being part of the people for making the actions carried forward in the community. The rest of it is all housekeeping, but there's been some major things happen here. There's a reason people live in Tillsonburg, and I hope that I'm a part of that and recognized for it. So that's maybe my bold part of this, my vain part of it, that it's a wonderful place to live, and that's why we like living here. And I'm so happy to be part of it. Now, something I always say when I hand out presentations, Mayor, is don't stop. But I will guarantee you, I'm not going to be here 25 years from now. Thank you, Council, and thank you for the people of Tillsonburg.
Councillor Parsons, I think we even have a motion about this.
Yes, we do, Madam Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Luciani, that council receives the long-term service award for Deputy Mayor Bears as information. Thank you.
Any questions, comments? All those in favor? And that's a pretty big unanimous. Congratulations again. So now we're going to move to public meetings, and we have one planning item. Councillor Spencer.
Through the mayor, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Rosehart, that council move into committee of adjustment to hear an application for minor variance at 7:10 PM.
Thank you. Are there any questions or concerns? So we'll call the vote. All those in favor? Okay, so now we are sitting as the committee of adjustment. So we are going to hear an application for minor variance A13-2253 Queen Street. This is a public meeting held under the Planning Act for the purpose of hearing minor variance application A13-2253 Queen Street. This process allows any person in attendance the opportunity to make a presentation to council. If anyone who appeals this decision has not provided council with oral or written submissions at a public meeting, then the local planning appeal tribunal has the power to dismiss the appeal. If you speak to this application, please state your name and street address. So now we are going to call upon the planner, Justin, who will give an overview of the minor variance application.
Good evening, council, staff, members of the public. Maybe I'll just quickly introduce myself. I'm Justin Miller. I'm another planner with the county. Eric's at Woodstock Council tonight, so I agreed, I guess, to read his reports for him and answer any questions you might have. So we'll get started. So application A13-2253 by Tillsonburg Nonprofit Housing Corporation. The purpose of the application is to facilitate the addition of 2 apartment units in an existing 60-unit affordable housing development. It's described as lots 459 to 462 and 464, Plan 500 on the west side of Queen Street at 53 Queen Street. The surrounding land uses are generally high density residential to the east and northeast, institutional to the north and west, low density residential to the south and east. Relief is being sought from section 10.4.2.2 for the net residential density to increase the maximum density from 144.9 units per hectare to 149.8 units per hectare. As well as relief is sought from section 10.4.2.3.2 for the number of apartment dwelling units to increase the number of permitted units from 60 to 62. Through the application process, it's also been recommended by staff that they seek relief from section 10.2.1, requiring children's outdoor play area to be 1 square meter per unit to nil. The official plan designation for the property is high density residential. And that designation generally supports apartment dwelling units. The zoning is RH2, which is a special provision zoning that permits the specific development that's on the site. And that's why whenever they make changes, they need to apply for exactly what those changes are. So in addition to the 60 units and things we described, it also has special provisions for increased building height, reduced frontage, reduced side yard widths, reduced amenity space, and a reduced setback from the arterial road, as well as reduced parking. With this development, there's no exterior alterations that are proposed. They actually proposed, I think, we'd take a craft space and make that into additional dwelling units. So there'll be no impact to the neighborhood from as far as what the building looks like from the exterior. So no negative impacts are anticipated, and staff recommend approval of the application.
Thank you. There's a couple new counselors. So now is the opportunity to ask Justin, the planner, if you have any questions. So these questions are just to be directed to Justin. Counselor Rosart.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to Justin. Justin, is this the space when you're walking into the building straight ahead? Used to be a common area room?
Through the chair, I believe it is, and I believe it's a common area, and I believe it was a craft room as well, because it's actually two rooms that they're making into two separate units.
And is that alongside where the laundry room is?
Through the chair, I'm not familiar enough with the building to be able to comment on that.
I'm just kind of worried about the noise of the laundry room, because sitting on that committee for years, I noticed there was a laundry room just on the side of that, if that would affect the noise of the laundry being done for the apartments that you're putting in.
Yeah, through the chair, I'm not sure if there's an applicant here that's here to speak to that application.
So Counselor Rosart, there is an applicant that will be coming in via Zoom, and that question would be great for the applicant.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions for the planner? No, seeing none. Okay, so now there's an opportunity for the public, the applicant or agent, to speak in favor of the application. On via Zoom, we have the agent for the applicant, Jason Hunwicks.
Hi, good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. I'll address that comment directly first. So this unit would be on the ground floor, and the laundry is actually on the lower level. So it wouldn't be where the laundry is. So there are two craft rooms that are stacked on top of each other. This proposal right now, we're seeking for 2 units. So both craft rooms eventually to be converted and renovated. Right now, our proposal is only to do the 1 craft room. So then that way there's no lost uses for the seniors, as the craft rooms are identical. You'll have puzzles, seating areas, shuffleboard, and other activities that they can do in that room. So for now, we are just going to propose the 1 room be renovated. We actually have the permit drawings ready to go, and the Tillsonburg Nonprofit Housing Corporation has a funding agreement from the subsidy repayment program with the county. So that is already in place to pay for the apartment. And if it doesn't go forward, then they have to repay that back to the county. I hope that answers.
Are you good? Counselor Rosart, do you have any follow-up?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Counselor Parsons?
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor, to the speaker. Just to be clear, there is a larger room, a community room, I would have called it, that residents in that building will share from time to time. This does not involve that room. Can you confirm that?
A large community room? So there are 2
larger room that's shared for sometimes events in the building. I think it has a lunch or a kitchen area, things of that. Is it that larger community room that you're
there? Yes, it is a larger community room that will be turned into a 2-bedroom unit. Yes.
So all the residents in that building are on side with that? That's been circulated in the building?
I cannot comment on that. That would be through Town of Tillsonburg Nonprofit Housing Corporation. But I know that they are in need of the units for affordable housing, and no services will be lost because there are two identical rooms that are servicing the same services.
If I might, Madam Mayor, it's been a while since I served on the Tillsonburg Nonprofit Housing, but I know that room is very popular to be shared for various events in that building and community presentations I've been involved with there. So I just hope the folks in that building know that that room is not going to be available for them. I wouldn't want them to come later and say, we didn't know about this. Thank you.
Okay.
Did you have a comment, Councillor Parker?
I can speak to it after the resolution gets read.
Are there any other questions for Jason? Nope, seeing none. Now we are at the point in the meeting where there's an opportunity, excuse me, for anyone in attendance to speak in opposition to the application. And I don't see any. Are there any further comments or questions from council members? Seeing none, we'll move to the resolution, which is Councillor Rosehart.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Moved by myself, second by Councillor Spencer, that the Town of Tillsonburg Committee of Adjustment approve application file A13-22 submitted by the Town of Tillsonburg Nonprofit Housing Corporations for land described as lots 459, 460, 462, 464, Plan 500 in the Town of Tillsonburg at it rates to relief from section 10-4-2-2 net residential density to an increase in maximum permitted net residential density from 144-9 dwelling units per hectare, 5-7 dwelling units per acre to 149-8 dwellings units per hectare, 60.6 dwellings units per hectare. 2, relief from section 10-2-1 children's outdoor play area for apartment dwellings to reduce the minimum required children's outdoor play area from 1 M per unit to 0. Relief number 3, relief from section 10.4.2.3.2 number of apartment units to increase the total permitted number of apartment units from 60 to 62 to facilitate the creation of 2 new affordable apartment dwellings within an existing apartment building. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rosehart. Councillor Parker, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, so to answer Councillor Parsons' question, this was circulated to all of the residents. The reason that Tillsonburg Nonprofit Housing, as I'm the board member from council on that board right now, the county was seeking reimbursement of $100,000 of the subsidy to repay. So this was a creative way that the manager of the building came up with an opportunity to keep the funding, not have to repay it, and build 2 more units. So it was circulated to all of the residents as well. If there's any questions about the shuffleboard and stuff like that, that will all be moved up to the other craft room. So all the amenities that are currently there will be there. It's just taking 2 of the rooms, combining them into 1. And there's not full usage of each of them at this time. So thank you.
Thank you for the information. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? That's unanimous, no opposed. And now we turn it over to Councillor Parker so we can move out of Committee of Adjustment.
Moved by myself and seconded by Deputy Mayor Beres, that council move out of Committee of Adjustment, move back into regular council session at 7:21 p.m.
Thank you. All in favor? That's unanimous and carried. Now we hand the floor back over for an application for consent B 22-58-7 110 Concession Street West. And you're up again, Justin.
Good evening. B 22-58-7 in the name of the Salvation Army in Canada. The purpose of this application is to create a residential infill lot in the central area of Tillsonburg. The subject lands are legally described as Part Lot 7, Concession 11, formerly in Durham, located on the north side of Concession Street at 110 Concession Street West. The surrounding land uses are mixed dwelling types. There's single attached dwellings, duplexes, triplexes, and apartments. The official plan designation is low density residential, and that designation supports single attached dwellings, semi-detached dwellings, townhouses, and similar forms of development. The zoning on the subject lands is minor institutional, which permits cemeteries, community centers, EMS stations, nursery schools, small schools, I believe small nursing homes, places of worships, and a single attached dwelling if it's accessory to permitted institutional use. The proposed law will have an area of 0.34 acres with about 100 feet of frontage on Concession Street West. Staff in this case are recommending denial of the application because the lot to be severed is excessively large for a single attached dwelling, and it compromises the future development potential of the lot to be severed and the lot to be retained. Should the proposed lot be developed for a single attached dwelling, it would have a density of 7 units per hectare, where the official plan requires a minimum density of 15 units per hectare. As I said in the zoning section, a single attached dwelling is permitted in the existing zoning if it's accessory to permitted institutional use. So in this case, if the application is approved, a zone change is required as the IN1 zone doesn't permit a single attached or any other standalone residential use. In this case, the biggest obstacle is that the provincial policy statement requires us to efficiently use land. And because this is so much potential land within the urban boundary, when urban boundary expansions are not something that is easy to come by, it directs us to really use the land better. So we should really be striving to meet those minimum density targets if possible. As I understand, there's not a plan for the residential use on the subject lands. But the area being taken out of, because it could support a single attached dwelling, puts that too low of a density for us to consider this an efficient use of land. So for those reasons, staff recommend that the town doesn't support this application.
Deputy Mayor Barris and then Councilor Rosart.
Thank you very much through you to Justin. This 100-foot frontage on Concession Street would probably host 2 or 3 lots if they were smaller. If the applicant had applied for smaller ones, but that would have to go through land division. My question for you, a direct question for you, and maybe I hope you can answer this. How many services are there for that 100 feet of frontage? Municipal services, hookup services. Is it suitable for 2 properties or 3 or 1?
Through the chair, I believe the road was recently-ish reconstructed, and there is I believe it's a single service there. I'm not sure if there's a service beyond that, but I think it's just a single service.
Okay, and with that, if I could just continue, Mayor, I did speak with the applicant, who's not here tonight. It's a church. And they were under the assumption there's 2. Assuming there is 2 services there, what's the best approach? Would they better to go to Oxford County Planning and ask for a separation, or is that done through Land Division Committee? Because it's 1 lot now. How would they turn that into 2 lots? Through Land Division?
So through the chair, yes, you could potentially go through a severance process to add another lot. If you add another single lot, it would actually still be under the minimum density. So there's other options there. With 100 feet of frontage, you could even perhaps do a pair of semis or something like that. Like there's enough space for those types of uses. There's also the opportunity to explore other densities, because there is to that, I believe it's the west side of the church. There's quite a bit of space there that's within the urban boundary. So it is an area where we can consider sort of multi-unit residential uses as well. It's just that what's proposed, if it would allow it to potentially be developed for a single detached dwelling, and it's just not an efficient use of land for something within the urban boundary.
And I understand that. So, and I guess what I'm looking for, Justin, is direction on behalf of the applicant. What's the best process for the applicant to come back and reapply?
So through the chair, what if I were an applicant to speculate on what I would do is I would work on coming up with a concept plan that shows what can be built there. So, you know, if 0.34 acres will hold this type of development and it meets that density, that's supportable. But I think the main issue that Eric probably struggled with in writing this report is the fact that there is no specified plan for this. So we can't say, yes, this is the right size for even say a townhouse block or something, because there's nothing here to show that this 0.34 acres is what they need of their entire land holding.
Okay. All right, you've answered my direct questions. Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions to the planner? Counselor Spencer?
Through the mayor, to deputy mayor, I was just reading here, and I'm not sure if this is what you're asking, that both engineer department and public works have said that there are 2 water and sanitary services at this spot. Yeah. Thank you.
Counselor Rosart?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a follow-up. So in that area, driving down there, all those lots along concession are all large lots. How many are as large as this one, if not larger?
So through the chair, I don't have that exact number, but you're right. And I believe that Eric wrote in his report that because this came from Durham originally, it was also a part of Tilsonburg that was developed earlier. I believe it was developed from the 50s to the 70s when lots were commonly large because they had to accommodate private septics. So this lot is similar in size to a lot of the surrounding lots, but it's not what we would consider an efficient use of urban land. Now that in the 50s to 70s, you could add land, you could sever houses by will, things like that, which is not an option anymore. So the provincial policy statement directs us to use land more efficiently, but yes, it is similar in size to the surrounding.
So we really don't know what the applicant is going to do with these lots, knowing there are 2 hookups, right? And the time being, plus they've got access to the back part. Access to the back, there's a cul-de-sac back and behind there that they have access to as well. And we don't know if there's hookups there.
Through the chair, I don't know if there's hookups to the access on the back lot. I don't think the severance goes all the way to that cul-de-sac back there. I believe it kind of comes in line with the existing residential developments there. But yes, those lands are also within the urban boundaries, so we could support further development there. That's part of the reason why county staff are hoping for a more comprehensive plan in case those existing road networks can be used more efficiently to create more housing opportunities.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for the planner? Thank you. I'll turn the floor over to Deputy Mayor Barris for a resolution.
Well, I'm going to, I'll read the resolution and then I'll ask to speak to it. It's moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Luciani, that the council of the town of Tilsonburg advise the Oxford County Land Division Committee that the town supports the application for consent as the proposed lot to be severed. That's it. The rest of it doesn't belong there.
Right, that's great.
Okay.
Okay, so as Councillor Deputy Mayor Barris, did everyone understand that this resolution is in support of the severance? Okay, does anyone have any questions or concerns in this regard? Did you want to say something? Go ahead.
I'd like to speak to it. And what this does, Mayor, this allows providing land division committee will separate it from the religious section of the church section. This allows the church to turn that property, put it on the market for sale for someone who does want to use it for something like townhouses or the best use of the lands, be it for 2 lots, 3, whatever it might be, because these are not people who are in the development business. They're there for worship, and this would add a great deal of Salvation Army are great neighbors in the community, and they're to be respected for what they do. And besides that, from this point of view, if it turns into residential, it's taxable because religious properties are not taxable. So, and it creates extra housing, makes the people on Bill 62 happy. So that's why I did not take the recommendation of this. And because if it is severed through the Land Division Committee, then it can be put on the market for someone who wishes to use it for something more suitable that meets the criteria for the provincial policy statement.
Thank you very much. Does anyone else have a comment or a question? I think that's great. I'm going to say that I agree with you, and I'm glad that you're putting a positive motion forward. This in part with that whole Bill 23, and this is just me speaking. This is like the loss of those single family homes. We don't want to encourage them anymore. I think that there's opportunities, as the deputy mayor shared, that this will be put on the market and developed appropriately. But I don't think that we can be negative about, every single property, and I'm not sure who we are to determine what's excessive and what isn't. And again, it's not our land. In the end of the day, it belongs to other individuals. So if there's no questions or comments, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? So that's unanimous and carried. So that's supporting the severance. Thank you very much. Now I will move over to Councillor Parsons. This is regarding the BIA, and I believe Mark Renault is not in attendance this evening. So Councillor, first of all, does anyone have any questions or concerns before we put the resolution on the floor?
Point of order, Mayor. I believe you had asked for a pecuniary interest in this and you'd asked me to take the chair. All right. Thank you. There we are. Okay. So now I'm responsible for the meeting as deputy mayor, and the mayor has stepped back and she's welcome to debate this, I believe. No, it's pecuniary interest. You're not to stay out of it. Item number 10.1, Downtown Business, Tillsonburg Business Association, BIA, Board of Management for the 2023 to 2026 term has brought forward a list. And we need a mover and a seconder to talk about the appointment to the Downtown Business Board of Directors, Board of Management for the term. Councillor Parsons.
I have that acting mayor moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Luciani, that the following individuals be appointed to the Downtown BIA Board of Management for the term of 2023 to 2026. Ben Cressman, Brandon Thompson, Cedric Tomiko, Cheryl Fody, Emily Adorjan, Jesse Rora, Marcel Rosehart, Mark Tedesco, Michelle Gleason, Mike Bossy, and Wendy Cameron. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Parsons. Any comments, questions before we call the question? Seeing none, we'll call the question. All in favor of recommendation? That is carried unanimously outside of those who have declared the conflict of interest. Thank you, council. I'll turn the meeting back over to the mayor.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. Thanks for stepping in. You're just getting going here. So now we've got some information items to receive, and I will turn that over to council. First of all, does anyone have any questions or concerns regarding the information received? Seeing none, Councillor Parsons.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Spencer. The council receives the correspondence. Make sure I'm on the right one. Yes, correspondence dated November 24th, 2022 to the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing. Correspondence dated November 22nd, 2022 from Long Point Region Conservation Authority, Watson and Associates Economist Limited, dated November 17th, 2022, and correspondence from the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry as information. Thank you.
Questions, comments, all those in favor? That's carried unanimously, nothing opposed. Now we'll move to item 11.5, Tillsonburg Hydro Inc. MOU Review Committee. And is there? Okay, so I'll turn it over to Councillor Parker.
Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Barras. The council appoints CAO Kyle Pratt, Mayor Deb Gilvasi, Deputy Mayor Dave Barras, and Councillor Chris Parker to participate in the THI Board's MSA MOUD Review Committee.
Are there any questions or concerns? This was something that was carried forward from the last council. So we'll call the vote. All those in favor? And that's unanimous, none opposed. Now we'll move over to corporate services, cultural grants request for Forge Fest. Does the staff was prepared by corporate services? Is there any comment from staff or any more information that needs to be brought forward? Nope, thank you, Laura. Any questions or comments from council? Seeing none, Councillor Rosehart, you have a resolution.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Move on myself, second by Councillor Parker. That council receive report CS 22-33 culture grant funding request as information, and that council authorize the funding in the amount of 600 to the Forge Fest as a culture grant to assist in costing involved with the concert series held at Station Arts Center. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Questions, concerns? Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. And I guess this would be directed to the Finance Department. Is this a pre-budget request?
Through you, Madam Mayor, this is funds already approved in the 2022 budget. It was an allocation.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? That's unanimous, none opposed. Moving on to item 12.2.2, amendments to procedural bylaw electronic meetings. So first of all, I'll open up the floor to any questions or concerns. Councillor Spencer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I believe this motion was brought forth to consider for singular reason, but I think there's a lot of complexity and layers to it that need to be addressed. The pandemic obviously had its various challenges, but some new innovation has been adapted by most companies, organizations, schools, and as the town staff reported by every municipality in Oxford County. Our town did virtual meetings and worked remotely for almost half of the last term, and in my opinion, did so effectively. I believe that facts matter, and I think that there has been lots of studies shown that have shown that working remotely can be effective. One study in Forbes magazine that used 105 million data points said that there was a 5% increase in productivity. So I believe there's benefit to the virtual amendment here for staff, for committee members, for contract staff, such as hired experts, referral recommendations for council and delegate speakers. So I do believe the parameters of this should be reworded, removing pandemic and emergency, perhaps adapting similar wording to the township of Zora, permitting members, council or committee and board members to attend electronically, notifying the clerk no later than noon that day before the meeting, or at the discretion of the mayor or clerk if the situation arises at the last minute at short notice. I believe Zora also included, and I think it would be good, and I'd advocate to put the limit of members not do more than 3 months consecutive of virtual meetings without being authorized. Thank you.
Any other comments or concerns? Okay, there is no mover and seconder in here. You will, I was going to say, are there any alternate resolutions that anybody wanted to put on the floor other than the recommended one? Okay, so go ahead.
Yeah, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Spencer that council receives CS 22-35 amendments to procedural bylaw, and that council directs staff to bring back an amendment to the procedural bylaw to allow for electronic participation in meetings for reasons other than emergencies and pandemic reasons as currently stated. And if I may speak to that, this right from the beginning when this came in within COVID, allowed us to continue to function as a council and to continue doing business. It more importantly allowed a lot of our committees of council to continue as a viable entity, which if we didn't have it wouldn't have happened. The sheer fact is that there's a lot of committees that need to go electronic to conduct their business. And it's convenience for some people, but it's a necessity for others, but it's a necessity for, I think, the town to ensure that we can continue to have the ability to dial in electronically when we can't make it, especially when we're having so much troubles, sometimes getting quorum for a lot of our meetings. I think it's incumbent upon all of us to think that, if we can get to a meeting, we should get to a meeting and we should try to get there. But there are times and there are also committees that doesn't work. Airport committee is one, the accessibility committee is another. I think it's important that we don't lose the function that has been provided to us by the province now, and that we incorporate in our day-to-day business and amendments to our procedural bylaw. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Luciani. Councillor Parker?
Yeah, so first off, I'm gonna request a recorded vote on this. Second, I have some concerns because when we have closed session meetings, all that information is confidential. That information can't be out in the public. What's stopping somebody from meeting virtually and having somebody walk by? If we're in council chambers, that doesn't happen. So that's a concern with closed session. I think that there needs to be a separation between council meetings and committee meetings. I think that council has an obligation to be here for meetings. Committees, these are volunteers. These are members of the public that may not have access to get into the facilities all the time. We have people on the Affordable and Attainable Housing Committee from Oxford County who have council meetings at county council those nights. So they do need to be afforded that access. But to make it so that you can attend virtual meetings whenever you want as a counselor, to me, that's not right. I think there needs to be a limit on it. I would like to see a limit of 2 or 3 per year. I think that's more than acceptable. And I have concerns with it in general across the board. So those are my opinions. I will not be supporting the resolution as it's written today. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Parker. Is there anyone else? Councillor Rosart?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I know sitting on these committees, and we felt that a lot of times our committees were not connecting. We had a lot of interference with the internet, or some people couldn't connect and they couldn't come in, or they were on the phone and they couldn't express themselves. And they felt that actually a lot of our committees fell apart because of the way we were doing business, because we weren't getting together and we weren't getting that personal people talking to each other. And I won't support this because I feel that we need to be out here with the people to make the right decisions. And I don't feel that sitting on a phone in someone's house, if you're sitting at home and you don't want to come out, then you don't really want to be on that committee. You want to be out there with the public and making sure that we're making decisions for the people of our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? I'm not sure. So just does this provide staff? Does this motion provide staff with enough direction? Because there were a lot of different options in the agenda. I think Councillor Spencer talked about Zora, liking the Zora model. Does this motion really provide that absolute direction to staff? Councillor Luciani?
I certainly added an amendment to it to indicate consistent with the Zora model, if that is preferable.
Okay, would the seconder be agreeable to that? Thank you. So does council understand that now it's going to be similar to the Zora model? I just feel that gives clear direction. And honestly, this is really tough. I do agree that Councillor Parker has a point. I think that committee volunteers shouldn't be treated the same as us. We're elected officials. And we have stipends to be here, whereas volunteers are volunteering their time. I know that on the airport committee, they want to meet virtually because they're from all different places. And that just works better than gathering in this room. And they're very good at it. Other committees don't want to meet virtually. So it's kind of tough. So any other comments or concerns before we call the vote? And I'm going to have to turn it over to Laura. Sorry. Counselor Spencer, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to comment that every staff member here has on their email signature, the McLean's top 25 places in Canada to work remotely. I think that there's significance to that. I did research some of the studies that have been done, because there is a lot of concern and subjective opinion, like Councillor Rosehart said, that there is a lack of connection. But from all the studies that I was able to read, there was increased wellness. And I do understand what other people are saying, that we should be here when we can. Other than yourself, I would say that this is considered a part-time job. I know I continue to work a full-time job. And I just think we need to keep that in consideration. There is that option to miss meetings entirely rather than do remotely. And if somebody can do it remotely, I think that's favorable. Obviously, in person, I think is better. But I also think it speaks to if somebody broke a leg or had a health condition or whatever, that when we put a limit on it, then we would have to revisit this each and every detailed. That's just a thought and comment. Thank you.
I think that's a fair point because this is a decision on the corporation on a whole. It encompasses committees, it encompasses council, it encompasses staff. And this is, I mean, we're in a new era, and whether some of us like it or not, Zoom is the way of the future, and working remotely is the way of the future. That's just where we're at. And I know that this is difficult, but remember, this is for the health of the corporation as a whole. Thank you. Thank you for that reminder. So I'll turn it over to Laura.
Thank you, Mayor. So we'll call name by name. You can let me know if you are in favor or opposed to the resolution. So the resolution, I'll read it again, just so everybody's clear. The council receives CS 22-35 amendments to procedural bylaw, and the council directs staff to bring back an amendment to the procedural bylaw to allow for electronic participation in meetings for reasons other than for emergencies and pandemic reasons as currently stated, and consistent with the Township of Zora model. Okay, Councillor Spencer, in favor or opposed? Councillor Rosehart? Councillor Parker?
Opposed?
Councillor Parsons?
In favor.
Councillor Luciani?
Favor.
Deputy Mayor?
Favor.
Mayor,
In favor.
that's carried. Thank you.
I think it was 5-2, correct? Okay, thank you. I know it's a tough one. I get it. Now we're going to move to item 12.2.3, Traffic Advisory Committee. Does anyone have any questions or concerns with regards to the report and the terms of reference? Seeing none, Deputy Mayor.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Luciani. The council receives the report CS 22-34 Traffic Advisory Committee, and that council adopts the drafted terms of reference for the Traffic Advisory Committee.
Again, questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? That's unanimous and carried. Item 12.3.1, offer to purchase 1410 Belmill Side Road. Cephas, do you have any comments or highlights?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Gilvezi. Just wanted to highlight that this is an offer to purchase for a property that the council has previously declared surplus. This has gone through, I guess, a public notification process, and also a sign has been posted on the property. There's one offer in front of you regarding a manufacturing company, a small manufacturing company that's looking to come here to build a 5,000 square foot building and to expand our manufacturing sector here in the town of Tillsonburg. So my recommendation is certainly that council proceed, and I'll take any questions or comments from council. Thank you.
Any questions to Cephas? None, it is for an ironworks business, so it's nice to see some diversity coming to Tillsonburg, which is great. So Councillor Luciani, you have the resolution.
Yeah, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Parsons that a bylaw be brought forward to authorize the mayor and clerk to enter into an agreement of purchase and sale with Metelfer Iron Designs Incorporated for the unopened right of way described as a road allowance between concession 3 and 4 north of Talbot Road, Middleton, east of Bell Mill Side Road, and west of portion 25 on 431429.
Thank you. Questions? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? And that's unanimous and carried. No one opposed. Now we're moving on to 12.4.1, finance and property tax arrears. Director of Finance, do you have any comments or highlights from the report?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We do have the author online, Ted Lyons, who is our revenue manager, and he can speak to the report and answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Didn't see him there.
Hi, thank you through the mayor. The purpose of this report is to provide council with an update on the town's property tax arrears and the status of our active tax sale files. Just one quick update to note, the report mentions 5 active tax sale files. One of those 5 files paid in full this week. So are there any questions or comments from council?
Councillor Parsons?
Thank you, through you, Mayor. The report, I think, if I'm reading it right, indicates 638 tax arrears from 2022. Over the 4 years previous, could be averaged out at 30. Is there a reason why that's, or is it just because it's recent and people haven't had a chance to pay the taxes?
That's a good question through the mayor. I would suggest that there's 2 reasons for that. One, as the councillor mentioned, that it's recent, and 2, from the subs and omits from new construction. We saw an unprecedented amount of subs and omits this year. And that's certainly a contributing factor. One thing I would mention, we have over 8,000 tax accounts, so that number is relatively low.
Anyone else have any questions? No, Councillor Spencer, you have a resolution? Thank you very much, by the way.
Yes, Madam Mayor, it's moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Spencer, that the council receives report FIN 22-29 property tax arrears as information. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions, comments? All those in favor? That's unanimous, no opposed. I think Councillor Spencer, you have the next one. We're doing item 12.4.2, updated rates and fees. And Director of Finance, any comments?
Through you, Madam Mayor, only that this is a revised schedule for council's consideration. We did include some additional comments with the notes column, just to indicate if there were any other sources which control the fees to which we would abide by. But otherwise, it's presented for approval. Thank you.
Does council have any questions for the director? Councillor Parsons?
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor. A question, thank you for the schedule. I noted that in the Tego bus that we use, there's no additional or no increased fees that I could see. And yet I know in reviewing the budget recently, we see costs going up over the next 4 years. Are we kind of at an upset point where if we increase those fees, we won't have riders, or why are we not considering, and we'll never make transit whole in terms of paying its way. I'm sure that there'll always be some sort of subsidy, but I was just wondering through you, Madam Mayor, if there's been any thought given to increasing the transit fare to try to recover some of the money.
Through the worship to the members of council, definitely that's something that we need to be focusing on in terms of neutrality. It is a subsidized program. The gas tax funding system has now been changed to 2025. So I would propose that part of our feasibility study that we are obligated to do for 2023 to report be brought back to council for consideration and then roadmap further ahead. There are other subsidy programs that may become available in the future that are linked to the gas tax, but certainly bringing that back to council for discussion is warranted in the future.
Any other questions? And I'll turn it over to Councillor Spencer for the resolution.
Thank you, Mayor. Moved by myself, second by Councillor Rosehart, that council receive report FIN 22-30 2023 rates and fees, and that a bylaw to provide a schedule of fees for certain municipal applications, services, and permits be brought forth for council consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. So once again, questions, comments? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? And that's unanimous and carried, no opposed. 12.5.1, we're moving over to fire and emergency services, and I do see the fire chief in attendance. Are there any, do you want to make any brief highlights regarding the report?
Through you, Mayor Gilvezi, the report's pretty simple. The plan has served us well for about 20 years since council adopted it in 2005. The program committee is required to review the program and bylaw annually, and we recognize some gaps, quite frankly, and it had been circulated to the program committee as well as OPP, EMS, and other parties for comment. And it was revised to align better with the current Emergency Management and Civil Protection Act, as well as dovetail better with the county's plan and our own corporate structure. And happy to take any questions you may have.
Are there any questions from council? Deputy Mayor and myself and some of the senior leadership team attended a very great training exercise, and I can assure the residents in Tillsonburg that you are in very good hands with a very organized and professional group of leaders. So thank you. And I will move over to Councillor Rosehart for the resolution.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Moved by myself, second by Councillor Parker. The council received report FRS 22-05 revised emergency management bylaw and program report, and that the attached bylaw and town of Tillsonburg emergency management program be adopted by council. Thank you.
Any comments? Councillor Luciani?
Not really, I guess more of a comment, just a bit of an housekeeping one, just on page 261 and 414 under Schedule D for the hazard identifications. The hazmat spill fixed sites just down twice, doesn't affect anything in it. It's just a housekeeping thing. Thanks.
Thank you for bringing awareness to that. Any other comments? No, we'll call the vote. All those in favor? That's unanimous, none opposed and carried. Recreation, Culture and Parks, item 12.7.1, an amendment to the R zone policy, December 2022. Would staff like to make comments in this regard? Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is just a house cleaning item. We currently have an R zone policy in effect for the TCC Tillsonburg Community Center that was approved in September 2019. It's a policy that was established in Burlington and Oakville years ago, and more recently, many municipalities throughout Ontario have adopted it. It speaks to how user groups, patrons, visitors, and residents behave in a recreation complex, specifically about respecting yourself and respecting other patrons and the responsibility for your actions. So it's served us well in our operations for recreation. We did meet as a senior leadership team, and we decided that we had some challenges in other areas of our operations. So we are looking to create an R zone policy that could be blanketed across all services, parks, amenities, facilities throughout the town. So before you is that altered policy, and we're just asking for your support to move this forward so that it can be blanketed across all town operations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions or concerns to the director? Thank you. I guess the report was so good. It's very self-explanatory. I'll turn it over to Councillor Parker, who has a resolution.
Moved by myself and seconded by Deputy Mayor Perez that council receives report RCP 22-25, amendment to policy 9-009, R zone policy. And that council approves and adopts the revised R zone policy for the town of Tillsonburg as presented. And that a bylaw to amend bylaw 4340, R zone policy, be brought forward for council's consideration. I'd just like to speak to that, Madam Mayor. I'm glad to see that this program or this policy has actually had the opportunity to grow. I worked with Andrea initially on it, and I think it's a good program and it's something that can be passed along through all municipal offices. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comments? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Unanimous and carried, none opposed. Thank you. Thank you very much. And now we're moving on to 12.7.2, awarding the snack bar and concession lease at the community center. I'll turn it over again. Do you have any comments or highlights?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just sharing the highlights with council that the tender actually was in place and we had someone who had signed on for contractual obligations. However, they did give notice, so we had to go back out to tender and we had the one submission. It's identical to what we had budgeted for 2023, so no impact, only other than I would like to highlight that we did do as a trial, we included our water park concession operations. So we see this as a great opportunity to sort of test the waters and see how the service would provide an enhancement to our actual bottom line of budgeting. When we did the numbers, we looked at a $2,400 deficit operating the water park concession in-house. So this will actually generate $800 of revenue. So just a trial for 2023, and then we'll review from there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions for the director? No. Deputy Mayor?
I'll just say it's more of a comment. Running a concession is a service because when we travel with hockey games and ball games with our children and our grandchildren, most communities have this. And looking, I don't believe it's up to the taxpayer in the community to subsidize it. It's there. These figures that are here more than cover the utility costs that are involved in it. And as far as service to the community, that's up to the entrepreneur to do that. So I agree that these numbers are certainly suitable. There's no going to the taxpayer and saying, hey, you're subsidizing this, because when people come into the community and they want a cup of coffee, it's certainly looked after. There's no cost to the taxpayer. Yeah. Should I read the resolution?
Go ahead.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Luciani. The council receives the report Recreation, Culture and Parks 22-26 concession lease awarding the RFQ 22-003 Tillsonburg Community Center Snack Bar and Water Park concession lease. And that the lease for the concession at the Tillsonburg Community Center be awarded to Christie's Catering for the term of January 1, 2023 through December 31st, 2025 at the annualized rate of $4,500 plus HST. And that a one-year pilot lease for the water park concession is included in the contract for the term of June 17th, 2023 to September 4th, 2023 for a total rate of $800. And that a bylaw is brought forward to approve once the contract is signed.
Thank you very much. Any comments, concerns? No, we'll call the vote. All those in favor? And none opposed and one abstained. Thank you very much. Next, the arena dehumidifier replacement. Any comments from staff and regarding this project?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. As council will remember, I think it was your first meeting together. We asked for pre-budget approvals for $155,000 to replace our dehumidifier at the arena. The quotes went out and the proposal came in at just under that at about $153,000. Thank you.
Questions from council? Seeing none, Councillor Luciani.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Parsons that the report RCP 22-27 Recreation, Culture and Parks Arena Dehumidifier Replacement be received, and that the quote provided by either Simcoe or CIMCO refrigeration for $152,769 plus HST to supply and install a dehumidifier unit for the arena be approved.
Thank you. Comments, questions? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? That's unanimous. No one's opposed. Carried. 12.7.4 Facility Asset Management Audit Report. Are there any highlights or information? Nothing? No? Councillor Parsons, you've got the resolution.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Moved by myself, excuse me, seconded by Councillor Spencer. That report RCP 22-28 Facility Asset Management Audit Report prepared by Roth Integrated Asset Management Strategies, IAMS Inc. be received as information. And the staff use the data provided in the audit to help guide the RCP 10-year capital budget and beyond as part of the overall corporate facility asset management plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or concerns from council? No, I just want to say that our SLT team has done an amazing job looking at the asset management program in general and the facility asset management. They've created painted a clear picture. We've got some work to do. So I'll call the vote. All those in favor? That's carried. None opposed. Next, there's a mayor's report regarding the CAO Performance Appraisal Committee. So just quickly, I think everything's in the report each year. Council has an obligation to do an appraisal for the CAO. So I'll turn it over to Councillor Parker who has a resolution.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Rosehart, that a CAO Performance Appraisal Committee be formed consisting of Mayor Gilvazy, Councillor Parker, and Councillor Luciani. Just like to speak to that. For the new councillors, the only reason I didn't open it up and have a conversation beforehand is we're reviewing Kyle's work from the last year. So I thought it would be beneficial to have councillors from the last term on there. So going forward, there will be opportunities to change the members on that committee. So thank you.
Thank you. That's a good point. This is just for this. This is a review process for this year. This is undertaken every single year. So any questions or concerns? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? And that's unanimous and carried. No one opposed. Number 14, consideration of committee minutes. Does anyone have any questions or comments regarding any of the committee minutes? Seeing none, I'll turn it over to Councillor Rosehart, who has a resolution.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Moved by myself, second by Councillor Parker. That council received the following Tillsonburg Advisory Committee minutes as information. November 14, 2022, Tillsonburg Transit Advisory Committee minutes. October 26, 2022, and November 23, 2022, Affordable Attainable Housing Advisory Committee minutes. November 8, 2022, Economic Development Advisory Committee minutes. November 16, 2022, Boundary Adjustment Committee minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? That's everyone unanimous, carried. Police Service Board minutes. Questions? Councillor Parker?
Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Barras. The council receives the Police Services Board minutes dated September 21st, 2022 and October 19th, 2022 as information.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? This must be Operation Warp Speed. This is the fastest set of minutes I've ever seen come from the Police Service Board. Well done. Councillor Parsons?
Yes, just a question to help me understand. An armadillo. We're going to put an armadillo on Allen Street. What is an armadillo, please?
It's like a spy cam. Speed. Yeah.
It tracks speed.
It's not secret. You were whispering.
Councillor Parker, it's not a secret. It's a spy camera that we put out to track traffic. Thank you.
Spits off lots of data that the police analyze. Okay, so we've got the motion on the floor, right? We get lost. All those in favor? That's unanimous and carried. So now I will turn it over to Counselor Parker, who appropriately sent in a motion for this evening.
Moved by Counselor Parker, seconded by Counselor Rosehart, that staff report or a staff report be brought forward to council to provide a list of all town and lands excluding ravines. So I'd like to speak to this. This goes back to earlier budget meeting, just asking for an idea of all town lands, and it excludes ravines, so we don't have to get the county involved. Does that satisfy you, Cephas, or does there need to be more restrictions on that?
I guess the question to the mayor is, does that satisfy you? I think that certainly there are probably some gray area properties. We might still need to do a little bit more work, but we'll try to keep it to something that makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Deputy Mayor?
Through you, I guess, to the counselor, are you looking for lands that could possibly be sold? Because there are probably some small parcels that are landlocked that can't be sold. And just to, so is that, just for clarification before I support your resolution?
Yes.
Satisfied with that? That's a great question. You're good. So saleable lands, don't need ravine lands. We're good. Okay, any other questions? Counselor Rosehart.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to Cephas, there's a piece of property on Simcoe Street that is owned by county. Has that ever been looked at for them to turn that over to Tillsonburg?
Through the mayor to Councilor Rosehart, yes, actually, we did investigate that briefly, quite a while ago. And there was some additional information we were looking for, but I don't believe that's ever been brought back to council. So it certainly could, I could bring an information item back in the future if council so wishes that. Oh, sorry.
It's just kind of an eyesore out there with the stone blocks laying around it, and just wonder if we could maybe get that cleared up. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Spencer, did you have a question? Sorry. Did anyone else have a question down there? No, we're good. I'll call the vote. All those in favor? And that's unanimous and carried with no one opposed. Deputy Mayor Barris, you have a resolution about Ontario Good Roads.
The Ontario Good Roads Association does require the endorsement of the councillor by their municipal council if they wish to run for a position on the OGRA, which I did. I have the history on that. So therefore, it's moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Luciani. The council supports the nomination of Councillor Chris Parker to the Ontario Good Roads Association Board of Directors.
Comments, Councillor Parker?
I will graciously accept the nomination. This is an opportunity to have more municipal representation on boards that represent the goals of the province or of the municipalities of the province. So this is a great opportunity to grow and get Tillsonburg's name out there a little bit more. So I hope that everybody will support this recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you very much and best of luck. So I'll call the vote. All those in favor? That's unanimous and carried. No one opposed. Now we move over to Councillor Luciani, who has some bylaws for us.
Yeah, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Parsons that bylaw 2022-073 to establish policies and procedures for the procurement of goods and service and the disposal of surplus goods for the town of Tillsonburg, and to repeal bylaw 2020-070, bylaw 2022-078 to enter into an airport hangar land lease with Markness, bylaw 2022-080 to authorize execution of an agreement of purchase and sale with Metalfer Iron Designs Incorporated, bylaw 2022-081 to appoint a deputy mayor for the town of Tillsonburg, bylaw 2022-082 alternate member upper tier council appointment, bylaw 2022-083 Tillsonburg Emergency Management Program, bylaw 2022-086 to amend bylaw 4340 our zone policy, and bylaw 2022-087 to provide a schedule of fees for certain municipal applications, services and permits to be read for a first, second, third, and final reading, and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to sign the same and place the corporate seal thereunto.
Well done. That was a mouthful. Thank you. Questions, comments? I'll call the vote. All those in favor? That's unanimous, no one opposed. Next, we will move over to Councillor Parsons for confirmed proceedings bylaw.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Spencer, that bylaw 2022-085 to confirm the proceedings of the council meeting held on Monday, December 12th, 2022 be read for a first, second, and third and final reading, and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to sign the same and place the corporate seal thereunto. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Questions, concerns? No, I'll call the vote. All those in favor, and that's 7 unanimous and carried. Now we move to items of public interest, and we'll start down at CFIS. I'll just keep going around the table.
Nothing, thank you.
I would like to congratulate the U11 Adam Rep team from Tilsonburg who won the regional silver stick tournament over the course of the weekend, coached by Deputy Mayor Beres's grandson. They actually get the opportunity to go and represent Tilsonburg at the International Silver Stick January 20th to 22nd. And they will get to play teams from all over North America. So congratulations and good luck to them as well. This will be our last council meeting before Christmas. So I'd like to wish all of the people out there a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And we'll see you back again in the new year. Thank you.
I want to talk about Cephas Panchow for a minute. I always thought that, like most people, the clergy person at church works 1 hour a week because that's all you see them in the pulpit. And I always thought that counselors worked, before I got on counselors, worked 2 hours twice a week because that's all they're on TV. And the mayor is the same way. And I always thought that the economic development officer worked 2 hours every 2 weeks because that's all we see him. Last Wednesday, in the absence of the mayor, I was invited to go with economic development officers and mayors from the Soma district through the Economic Development Council of Ontario to visit Queen's Park, where we met some MPPs. We went into the legislature and saw some witnessing. And I realized at that point, there was about 60 people there of how well-known and respected our economic development officer, Cephas Panchow, is, and what he does and how he is connected. Because if someone comes to him and says, you know, we need sandy soil to build a factory and we don't have it, they'll go to him and say, do you know who does? And you do. And you'll also take somebody that may come to us and refer them to other areas. He's built a network, and a very good network, and we're very, very lucky. I guess lucky, maybe that's the wrong wording. We should be very appreciative of what you do, Cephas, and it really showed me how much of an integral part you are of the Southwestern Marketing Alliance, and the importance that you are to not just Tilsonburg, but all of Oxford County and the rest of the province. So with that said, congratulations. I would also like to say Merry Christmas to everyone. I'm Christian. Merry Christmas is what I'm saying, not Happy Holidays. Hang me. The other thing too is the ride programs are out there. Don't drive high and don't drive while you're drinking. Thank you, Mayor.
Very good.
Very valid points, especially the driving under the influence. Again, I just like to say Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to everybody. And we do have one council. No, we don't have a council orientation anymore. So I guess that's good. Thank you. Yeah, one more. Yeah, thank you. Good. I'll be here, but Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from this point here.
Just continuing and not to repeat the season's greetings, everyone. But this is a time of year to look out for people in our community that might be shut-ins, people that are living alone. It's time for us to reach out to our neighbors. And it's also time to help the food bank. If anybody can give a little bit of extra food, they could really use it. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas, everyone.
I guess it's me. I think that everyone's just said amazing things tonight. Remember, we had Abby in from Mobile Outreach and they're looking for donations as well. Hats and socks, any type of usable items. I have a few things. There's an information session regarding Station View Mixed Use Site, which is being hosted by BMI Group, December 13th, which is tomorrow, I believe, 4 to 9 p.m. at the Lions Auditorium, Tillsonburg Community Center. THI will be launching a new website. You'll be able to access your account and report a problem. Watch for it. It's supposed to be tomorrow, but it may be a few days until they get all the kinks worked out. Smoke alarm batteries. Just a reminder, if you didn't change your battery when we had the time change, the beginning of November, please do so. The fire department has had a number of calls to residents where the battery was dead. So if you can't do it, solicit a neighbor, a friend, a family member to help. The fire department would appreciate that those batteries get changed. Download the town app. You can go to the App Store and they have it for the Android or iPhones. It is an amazing app. You can find out when our meetings are. I know people are thrilled to watch. You can also report a problem, which is a great feature. And I know Councillor Parker and I pushed to get that feature on there. So if you've got an issue with a tree or just about anything, you can report it right on your phone. And finally, the outdoor rink is open. I am going to make a statement about this. The town is simply blessed to have this amazing facility in memory of a truly caring person who is an integral part of this community. The rink is open daily from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. weather permitting. Odd calendar dates, hockey, ringette, play allowed. Even calendar dates, skating only. That means no sticks, no gameplay. Red flags. Since we were young children, we were conditioned to see the color as red being stop. If the red flag is flying, that means you are not to go on the ice. It is unsafe for users. It also compromises the condition of the ice. Red stop. The last couple of years, the rink has seen the police visit on multiple occasions. It is a waste of your tax dollars and police resources. People chose to ignore the odd and even rule. The red flag was flying and people were using the rink. The rink has seen vandalism. It has seen garbage and general disrespect. The staff from the town of Tillsonburg has seen disrespect. I am reaching out to the community today that if we cannot have a more civilized approach to the use of this wonderful facility, that I will not hesitate to bring to council a motion to temporarily close it. So please don't be that person that ruins it for the community. Let's get along, let's get out there, let's have fun on this amazing asset that was gifted to this town. On that note, I would like to extend a very Merry Christmas to everyone out in the community and to many blessings for a wonderful new year. Thank you very much. And I think we're going to move to adjournment. Councillor Spencer.
Thank you, Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Rosehart, that the council meeting of Monday, December 12th, 2022 be adjourned at 8:26 p.m. And I would also like to just say, however you celebrate the holiday season, I hope it's blessed. Thanks.
Very nice. Thank you. All those in favor. See everybody in the new year.